We are here at the TulipDAO for an investors AMA with Radiant Finance. This is the team from Defi. They have many connections in the Fantom chain, and they are taking a new approach at a DeFi protocol. And we are going to dig in and figure out what it's all about, how you can make some money, and hopefully support the protocol grow and gain over time, which is the goal for everybody. So welcome Medicine, Tamchi, Liquid Future, and that's it that we got up here. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, it's a pleasure. I'm actually very impressed by what you guys are doing here. I'm interested to learn more about the technicals. So let's get right into it. First of all, if you could, we know your team, but if you could just introduce you guys as each other, and then kind of like what your roles are and your transition from DFI and how your vision has shifted into moving to Radiant, please.
Yeah, I'll start. So I'm Medicine. My main role is kind of community partnerships and a little bit of community management, as well as just some odds and ends stuff, help out with the websites and the docs and stuff like that.
Liquid here. I'm the Solidity dev, the programming for this, as well as figuring out how the protocol actually works and the interconnections between the various elements, and then do a little bit of the copywriting and that sort of stuff as well.
I'm Tamchi. You guys all know me. I do visuals, help with outreach and networking.
Excellent. And could you guys explain? Could you tell us about your dev team and also touch on how you guys on DFI and the transition over, please?
Yeah, so it's actually not like a pure transition. It's not like there's going to be a kind of like merge into protocols. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to really help incentivize and give a lot of benefit to DeFi. We were really happy with how DeFi went as a protocol. We were able to successfully take that to 3.5 million. And for a rewards token, even though it was a really, really innovative rewards token, at the end of the day, you need a volume driver. So that's exactly what we started designing Radiant to be, is we were just going to pump a farm through Radiant. But at the end of the day, we didn't want anything just short term. We wanted something a little bit more sustainable. And we wanted to create, we got behind some of the, node protocols. We saw Strong being successful. We saw Atlas Cloud being successful, and there was a lot of hype around those protocols at that point. But we figured, how can we make those protocols better? So honestly, after probably 2 months of discussing, well, how can we do this or how can we do that? We really think we uncovered a lot of kind of the secrets or potential answers to a lot of the problems that these node protocols or DeFi as a service protocols are going through right now. And that's what we're kind of excited to share with you guys. So not only will DeFi should benefit just through the volume that the farm will kind of push through it, because DeFi will be able to be used to farm Radiant and our raised tokens throughout the initial staking offering, as well as a lot of other great partners. Spirit Swap is part of that. We've got Dark Matter DeFi, Yoshi. Dark Matter DeFi, we're not confirmed yet, but we've got Yoshi, Dex that's on there. We've got likely going to be working with Reaper Farm and Oath, and they're reviewing our contracts as well. We're talking with Excalibur as well. So we're looking to have really kind of a power-packed Genesis pool and farm period. And, there may be even others that we add to that farm. I also forgot Scarab. Scarab will also be a part of our pools.
Right.
So basically, we're trying to combine various different elements of NAS protocols, DAS protocols, NFTs, and the way things work on the Fantom network, farming and bonding and those sorts of things. So we've put together a very It's a complicated package, and I think our biggest challenge is how to break that down into bite-sized pieces so that the average person can understand each component without being overwhelmed by the full system. I mean, we need to understand it because we're going to be running it, but we need to also make it easy and accessible for people to take in bite-sized pieces.
Yeah. If I could, it looks to me like it's a combination of, let's say, like a prototype hybrid, and then you add on the NFT node factor from like Universe or something, but it's a bit more complex than that. But that's the simplified version. It's just like an advancement of a farm ecosystem into the node protocol, which could be very interesting, especially if you guys have some deflationary mechanisms cooked in.
Yeah.
Could you, real quick, before we get off topic, could you tell us about your dev team, please?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've been in projects together for, coming up on a year, I think, guys. And been developing projects as a team for about 3/4 of that. There's 3 core members, myself, Medicine, and Tamchi. We've brought in 2 other.
But who is writing the contracts?
I am.
You are?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I missed that. I'm sorry.
No worries.
All right.
So yeah,
we can move off the team now. That was my concern. I was like, who's writing the contracts? Who's doing the front end?
Yeah.
That was my concern.
My trust level in crypto is very minimal. And I'm sure everybody's the same. So I've gone through the process of learning Solidity and all the different programs that are required to do the contracts and put a substantial amount of background into it.
So it makes sense now. You sound like a dev. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, so like I was saying, biggest concern here is sell pressure from what I'm seeing.
So before we jump into that, you want me to give you the walkthrough on how the flow works?
Sure, that would be great. Let's do an ecosystem overview. I was just, I'm looking at the model right now, so I was.
Yeah, for sure. So we've kind of been watching the space and obviously talking with you guys and everybody else in the Fantom ecosystem, and we wanted to create a farming project. But as you see with a lot of other farming projects, there's longevity issues. So we've pieced together a number of different components that we think can address those concerns. So from a walkthrough perspective, we are starting with an ISO. So we're not doing a pre-sale. We're not giving out a bunch of dev tokens. We're not playing that game. Everybody's going to have fair opportunity to come in and earn the raise token. So that's going to last about 3 weeks. Thereabouts, our target total supply is 1 billion tokens to be farmed. The way that it's broken up from a distribution perspective is 40% of that goes to the farmer. So we're looking at a rate of 400 per second going to anybody that is farming as the main pool. 40% is also going to go into a yield wallet, and that's going to be used to pay out passive yields on the NFTs. And we'll get into that more as we go. 10% will go to treasury. That'll be used to fund and back the protocol. And 10% will go to an operations wallet that'll be used for marketing, paying development if we need something done, and staff. So that's kind of the breakup of raise token. So basically the farm's going to launch. Everybody's going to have the opportunity to put LP in to farm raise tokens. We're going to do a genesis period, which will be purely partner LP staking and farming. And then after that genesis period, which we expect to be, somewhere between the 1 4 hour mark, we're going to post raise LP, and that will become the primary farming method, and everybody else that was in the Genesis pool will still be able to continue on, but the Raise LP will have the highest rate. From there, probably about somewhere between 4 to 10 days into the farm, we're going to launch the first NFT series. So this is going to be our nebulas. Nebulas are going to cost 10,000 rays to purchase. That will yield, when staked, 50 rays per day. So 0.5% of the cost in tokens. Once you've collected 10 nebula, you'll be able to trade them in for a sun. The sun will cost the equivalent of 100,000 rays and will pay out 1,000 rays a day, so a full 1%. So that's the initial series and what we're calling our solar series. We can add more on in the future in May, and you'll notice there's some TBDs in the document, the docs, so I'll be finalizing those in the next 24 hours and getting them up to explain how it all works. But basically, we're going to start with a rather large collection for nebulas and a much more refined, smaller collection for the stars. And there'll be a bit of a competition to see who gets them, because there's not going to be enough to go around for everybody. Initially, the NFTs will be not tradable on a secondary market. Once the stars are fully minted out or close thereto, we'll open up the secondary market for nebulas. From there, we're adding in a bonding process. So it's not your traditional bonding process, it's interconnected with NFTs. So what we're going to do is X-Ray token, which is the sister to Raise. We're going to create a trading pair that's Raise LP and X-Ray token. So you are able to purchase X-Ray token with using the LP that you've created for the farm for Raise. Once purchased, you'll be able to use X-Ray to purchase our first level, we're calling the bloody words escaping me, Supernova. It's our Nova line. So the Supernova is going to produce X-rays for you on an ongoing basis while staked. With collecting those, once you've collected enough of them, you'll be able to trade them in for a pulsar. And that pulsar is going to give you the equivalent value of 2% in raise. So that'll be our highest generating off our first series. So basically, we're looking at 2 tokens and 4 NFT contracts that all work together.
Let me ask you this. If you're creating an LP pair for X-Ray and the LP token, are you concerned about manipulation on the token? Because I mean, it could be bought and sold. Like somebody could sell all their X-Ray for LP tokens and then pull the liquidity.
It could be bought and sold.
Obviously, but whatever's there though.
Right. So not all of the liquidity is going to be maintained there. The treasury is going to hold a substantial point. Yes, no, of course. So when people purchase NFTs with X-Ray, the protocol is going to trade in that X-Ray, a good portion of it anyways, to secure protocol-owned LP. So this is a method for the protocol to essentially have a bonding system where people are bonding.
How are you acquiring the LP tokens? Is there a tax on it or like a processing?
There will be a tax on sell of X-Ray. We're still finalizing what that exactly will be. However, we will be able to, the NFTs are purchased in X-Ray. So we're going to collect X-Ray when those NFTs are minted. And then we're going to be able to sell some of that X-Ray back to exchange it for Raise LP to make it protocol owned.
Yeah, I was going to say it might be pretty interesting if you put like a 20% tax on that X-ray, and then sent all of that to the treasury as POL.
Right.
Yep, that's the general idea, is that X-rays actually allows us to build an external treasury because we're not trying to inflate the price of X-rays. So we want X-rays to remain kind of
Within a range.
I guess we want people to be accessible, right? So we want to keep it within a general range, and we want to be able to actually sell larger portions of that to keep that range more or less sustained. So we effectively can use that as a way to manipulate our market cap to liquidity ratio. As our liquidity pool grows stronger than we need it to be from a ratio perspective, we can actually pull more of that LP, divide the pair, and actually take some more of the USDC of that pair without ever having to sell any raise. And that just goes back to reserves. But we actually can create a treasury there outside of our main protocol and our main token raise without ever having to sell a large amount of raise like most node protocols do of their main token. But that's kind of the beauty, is you have an external treasury, you have an external bonding system so that you can continue to capture more liquidity for your protocol. And even in the scenario that you kind of said, if there were users, they wanted to sell their X-rays, one, we're putting a small tax on it, right? Like Liquid said, we're still trying to determine how much that's going to be. So that's going to disincentivize selling. But even then, if they sell it, they can sell the LP token. So they're only selling half of which is raised tokens. So it really does decrease the amount of sell pressure on raise, although it can affect our LP, to your point. But that's why we want to actually own the liquidity with kind of this, I guess, price maintenance, almost like Horde, if you guys are familiar with them on BSC.
And additionally, too, like one of the things that we identified as a potential challenge, serving the node protocols, is they're an unlimited supply of nodes. And then at some point in time, there's enough nodes out there that it's just creating way more sell pressure than there is buy pressure. So by limiting the amount and availability of the NFTs, we're controlling that in the sense that if the protocol is in a place where it can sustain another 1,000 NFTs being generated, we're going to create another collection.
Yeah.
That'll allow them to be staked to earn various yields. So instead of having just one dynamic where it's, we'll take Atlas as an example, where it's 10 Atlas and then you get 1% back every day and it's an unlimited amount of them, we're going to be able to fine tune that and provide some more scarcity. So we don't have, say, a weekend where, we sell just a ton of them and then everybody and their mother just sells their yields for the next week and just crashes the protocol. We're going to be able to define what's available based on what the protocol can support.
Yeah, that's important. I am a big proponent of having dynamic ceilings for node protocols or anything similar, as well as dynamic sales taxes that can be implemented in a case of an emergency to save the protocol. Not like
of course,
not an 100% tax, but like a 20% sales tax to bolster the treasury when maybe even a built-in mechanism. I'm just throwing ideas around, but a built-in mechanism that when you're 20% below, or your treasury is 20% below market cap or something, it just automatically adds the tax to 20%. Something like that. But that's just ways that I've been thinking of solving that issue when your treasury is undervalued, right? And or when your market cap is undervalued, what do you do? Those types of scenarios.
Right. And then we also have the opportunity for the reciprocal of when it's overvalued, that we can offer more to the existing holders.
Yeah.
By adding another line or something to that effect, right? Or increasing rewards.
And remove tax.
A certain amount of time. Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
So we'll actually probably start with a little bit higher node proceeds sell going to treasury when we first start the protocol while the price is stable. but it allows us, like, anytime that we have substantial amount of sell pressure, we still have an external means of building a treasury with X-Rays token, and we can sell those proceeds that we have without hurting our chart. So whenever we need to decrease sell pressure over the team, it doesn't really affect us that much. And X-Rays is also a really cool way to align incentives for people helping the protocol, right? So they're strengthening the protocol by helping to build a bigger treasury and to build more LP. And as a result and a reward, they're going to earn higher yields for doing it. So X-Rays is kind of needed to earn the highest rewards in this protocol. So we've made it kind of vital. We actually feel like we're maybe solving some of the issue with current farms is, eventually sometimes the party kind of runs out, right? People are not seeing the yields and stuff they want to anymore, but they don't have anything to do with that LP other than sell it. So by creating this bonding mechanism and actually transitioning the farm to something else, it could be a really effective way to kind of sustain the actual farm ISO period and get people locked in. Like Liquid said, the hardest part for us.
Sorry to interrupt, but the standard thing that I've at least been seeing is you get that initial major pump when people are creating their initial LP to start to farm, and then you get people selling what they're earning on the some of those are selling half, making more LP to increase their LP stake. Others are just collecting their rewards to basically earn back what their initial deposit was, and then obviously profits beyond that. The interesting thing, so you see generally one or two more spikes after that in a declining fashion, with more people finding out about it, and we got to go, make something off of this, and you get, two more pumps, but eventually it runs out of gas, and everybody is just selling their rewards. The interesting opportunity here is with the ability to buy the Nebula NFT. We're very curious to see how that's going to affect the traditional farming chart, in the sense of it is removing rays from being sold for profits or compounding by directing it into a purchase of an NFT that's building a passive yield. So it's stretching out that sell pressure over say a 3-month period versus a 1-week period.
Yeah, I understand. I fully understand. Can you, real quick, while we're on this topic, can you explain what happens to the 10,000 tokens?
So the 10,000 tokens, a large portion of them will go into the yield wallet to pay out future rewards. So if you take, say like Atlas's metrics again, if the price was completely 100% stable at the rate they're paying out, it would be 100 days to buy. Beyond that, you depend on more people creating nodes to add to that pile to continue to fund those yields moving forward. So we're putting an initial large amount into that yields wallet through the ISO. 40% of total supply is going to end up there. Plus, we're going to be taking a large portion of the initial mint price, the 10,000 tokens, and putting that into there as well to provide longevity. So it goes beyond that. Some of it will be going to the treasury, and some of it will be going to pay for the team. So we're not taking dev tokens in any way, shape, or form. The way that we're going to earn our portion is through NFTs. We will every member of the team will get some NFTs, which will be publicly disclosed, so everyone's aware of that. As well as we take a small portion of the minting NFTs as our funds for running the protocol.
Right. Okay.
The bulk of it is going back into reinvesting in the protocol and sustaining the yield earning for.
Any plans for burning?
We do. We have included a burn function, and I think we need to discuss it as a team, but a percentage of the mint fees will also go into burn.
Yeah. I would say a dynamic burn rate depending on, token price, the amount of tokens in existence. If you're seeing too much dilution, you could increase the amount of burn on the mint. Would be very bullish, I think.
Yeah, we've absolutely included that. And then the other component too is when nebulas are transitioned into stars, those NFTs are burned as well.
Right.
So there will be initial large supply because we're using an ISO. So there's going to be a lot of tokens out that we want to try and capture through the NFT minting. But as those are upgraded, we'll call it, to become suns, those tokens are destroyed. So the collection will shrink over time as that upgrading occurs.
I do also want to bring up kind of one other point in the value of the ISO. During ISO in like typical farms, I mean, we'll take a vault fee of that, and those vault fees will be used for a number of different means. Advertisement, some operations that go in there, obviously some marketing, but also that's a way of building an initial treasury outside of just selling node proceeds. So that allows, before our protocol even gets started, that we have some kind of treasury to help back it, or to be able to create LP and to do whatever the protocol actually needs at that point. And all of those are going to be multi-sig, so it's not going to be just one of us with the control.
Yeah. Great.
Ideally, it's a way of setting a price with us out, not us actually setting the price. I think a lot of node protocols, I mean, I think you guys had this to some degree, although you guys have done a really good job stabilizing it. You have this initial hype, and then you have people that just start selling like crazy. I mean, there's the pump and dump and the never noders and things of that sort, right? So I think our pool in our ISO period will allow for a lot more natural price discovery, ideally, during the kind of period, so that when we actually hit the kind of node protocol, it's a little bit more steady, and the price is really where it should be valued, and it's valued by the community anyway.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think that you guys covered all the bases here. I really, if you guys didn't have dynamic taxes, if you didn't have this is the same way that I had Ararium built, our Metas project. It's just everything is modular. If you can bring something, you can bring in the burn tax, you can bring it, you can adjust things if you need to. You don't have a massive amount of supply on the nodes or the NFTs, and you can't overly dilute things. It's you have all the tools there. It's just this is DeFi, and we're still at the will of the market. So I think that you guys have done a good job, though.
So we have all those tools, but we also have other tools available with being able to push people into the protocol we want them by changing incentives, right? So if we needed to decrease sell pressure of raise, we can allow but we have a strong LP, we could always incentivize them to a small collection of an X-rays generating NFT collection at a higher yield, so that people can take their raise and create an X-ray generating NFT. So we actually have some flexibility, and we could always have it so people are compounding kind of to the next level. Maybe people take the tier 2 of each line, and they can combine those to create a higher yielding system as well. So really, whatever the protocol needs, we can create. I mean, in theory, we could even do a NFT line that takes both rays and X-rays, and combines them. But so we have flexibility in future collections. We'll have to see what is exactly needed in the protocol at that time. But being as it's an NFC staking contract that we do have a lot of flexibility.
And one other point to touch on that makes this quite interesting. So in order to earn the yields with your NFTs, you have to stake them. When we start opening up secondary markets, if you're going to sell your NFT, it's not stake. So you kind of have to choose at that point if you're going to continue down the yield generation path, or if you want to flip your NFT to try to earn off of the floor price. So I think that's going to add an interesting dynamic that is missing in nodes. Is the nodes are always generating regardless of what they're doing, and they're not transferable. So we're offering the opportunity to transfer, but at the same token, when you're trying to transfer, you're giving up your opportunity to earn yields, which will reduce the sell pressure.
Yeah, this is great. I like it, man. I do. What about the royalties on the NFTs? Where's that
So we
stuff
will be
going?
putting a small royalty on there, and that would go to the treasury.
Make it big.
I think the cap on some of them is like 7.5%. It's going to depend where we end up putting the secondary market. We haven't determined which marketplace to
Yeah,
utilize yet.
Max that shit
Well, we
out.
were
I think
actually
Opera House is
probably
like
going to use Opera House.
15%.
Then we're using Opera House, boys.
Yeah, I've been working very
Yeah.
closely with them.
I'm just
so-
kidding.
Yeah, that's most likely.
That would be. Hey, I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move. I do. I mean, but in my mind, these things shouldn't. I mean, if everything goes well for you, these things won't be selling below market value. So they'll be limited,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So if you keep them limited, they'll be selling above market value because people want 1% a day, and they're gonna have they don't want to wait months for the next release or whatever it is. So that's an interesting dynamic there. I mean, I would say 10% at least. Maybe 15 is a lot, but
As much as probably honestly as much as we can. We want to disincentivize selling at least initially. We want to make it more scarce, and then as we can, we'll unlock it. But I think we should at least let Tomchi talk a little bit about his NFTs because we don't ever really do anything half-ass. And while most people probably don't care about the NFTs in this protocol and probably are more out for the yields, Tomchi has created 4 beautiful collections. So
Hello, sirs. Yes.
welcome, Tamshi.
It's been so long. So yeah, the NFTs, they're made in Blender. They're 3D, or at least most of them are completely 3D and animated. I spent about 4 to 5 days creating the sun, and it's a lot of work. It's very, very complex. I think I sent a screenshot to Meta earlier of how that kind of looks. But yeah, I never half-ass my stuff, so I made them look nice. Like the space stuff is really complicated in 3D. Takes a lot of rendering power, and
Yeah.
it's super complex on how they look. The rendering the sun, which was like a 5-second clip, took me 16 hours to just render out.
That's some crazy textures, man.
Yeah, so they're all 3D as well. So I just posted like a screenshot of the nodes, how they look. That's nodes in it's basically all functions and like stuff that changes like small stuff on the NFT or like the 3D render. That's how it looks.
I don't know what that.
That's just one part of the sun, because there's 2 parts.
My brain hurts looking at that. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, so it's all like it's mathematical functions and like vertices and calculating like where it should go on the NFT and
Of
what
course.
should change and.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Me too. Just kidding, dude. That's nuts. I don't even know. That's crazy.
And then we're also looking at with the NFTs potentially moving into like more of a gamified approach. I mean, with this protocol and being that we can launch essentially less amounts of collections, they're all going to be. So we could go as far as just spitballing here, of course, is the next series of planets, and then you need to get an inoculation for your planet, and that makes there's more rewards, and it creates a civilization, and that civilization can mine the planet. Like there's a whole gamification that we can see moving forward as this protocol plays out, that can really provide some fun and interesting ways to make it different than what's available on the market. We're also been looking into dynamic NFTs. So a future collection may have that component, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not, but those are NFTs that change based on given parameters. So transactions in your wallet will change your NFT, or a certain amount of time will change your NFT that you own it. So we're starting to play with more of those complex and interesting things. So it's not a static scenario where you've bought your lazy lion and it's a lion and that's great and it looks cool, but it ain't never doing anything.
Okay.
Yeah, we also, at least, I mean, we've got lots of different ideas, and I think it's all going to be based on protocol needs, and we're going to have some ability to test this stuff out, hopefully in real time. But there's the idea of a wormhole. So taking some of your rays and kind of shifting over to X-rays, right? So that's a piece as well.
Yeah, actually, the next collection is already built as well. So like we could just launch them when we need to because the NFTs are basically done already as well.
Okay. Can we go over really quick, get some clarification? Are you going to be releasing nebulas and supernovas at the same time?
So nebulas and stars are part of the solar collection, and those will be released in very short order together. And they are purchased. So the nebulas are purchased with rays from the ISO, and then stars are the upgrade at which you need nebulas to acquire. Subsequently, we'll be launching X-ray, and then after X-ray launches, the supernovas and pulsars will launch, as those are our
Yeah. So this is what I'm asking. You're doing the entire nebula and star set first.
Yeah, solars will launch during the ISO, like earlier in the ISO, and then X-rays will come in near the end of the ISO to be a liquidity capturing device. And then shortly after that, the X-rays collection will come out, the supernova collection.
Okay. Because I'm looking at this and it just makes sense because I mean unless people are just aping hard into the nebulas, but then you're gonna have a bunch of whales. In my mind, it makes sense to release both the tier 1 sets at the same time.
You could,
like the supernova and the nebula, and let people have time to compound and use the ecosystem, compound and grow, and then grow into the pulsar and the star. You know what I mean? That's just in my mind. That's the way I envisioned it working. You may have thought this through more than I have, but
so we actually have thought about that. The reason that we wanted to do it a little bit later is because if we do it all at once, I don't think people are going to understand it. I mean, I think to Liquid's point, like you said earlier, it's like one step at a time. Plus, I don't think there would be a lot of incentive for people right off the bat that are really enjoying the liquidity farming and things of that sort. Having that in the first week of an ISO, I don't know if people will be incentivized enough to actually go ahead and take their liquidity pairs and push them into that because they're earning such high yields in the ISO.
True. That's a good point.
The other component that needs to be touched on is, so there's going to be a lot of it's going to be volatile. Let's be honest. Farms usually are. So if we're setting X-rays trading pair as raise LP, so we're going to be setting that price or that ratio between the two. Now, if it's significantly overvalued because people are aping into the farm, it's going to be really hard to set that price at a rate that makes sense long term. So we want some of the farming to calm down and have a bit of equalization or create an equilibrium, so we know what an appropriate price of that LP is, so that when we create that initial trading pair and set the ratio, that it's done in a way that's sustainable long term. So I don't want to set it when it's super high because everybody's buying into farm, or set it when it's super low. I want it to stabilize a bit before setting that ratio. So we're thinking further into the
you might want to have a floating USD value for your NFTs. That's like a dynamic. Because you never know, man. This thing might pump to fucking outer space, and then everybody's priced out of NFTs, so you may have to lower that.
Yeah, so we've got two sets of controls. So there's the rate of LP to purchase X-ray, and then there's the rate of X-ray required to purchase an NFT. So once we've set that ratio between X-ray and LP, it's set, but we can adjust the price point for purchasing the NFT by lowering or increasing the X-rays.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can do that through a new collection. So, you don't necessarily want to piss off people that have bought something at higher. So you do a different collection with different incentives, different rates, kind of based on what's fair. But you can make it a easier access point.
Okay, but what do you do if everybody gets priced out of the nebulas and supernovas in the first week, and they're stuck at 200 and they never mint?
Well, we can reduce the price because we'll own X-rays. We just have to sell X-rays to lower the price to make it more sustainable.
I think that's something you guys need to work on, if anything. That may be the one chink in the armor that I see. That I don't know if that's sufficient. It might be. It might be. It might not be though. But that's why we're here on the cutting edge of DeFi.
Yeah. I mean, that is probably the hardest thing is to do the price, but that's why we're waiting a little bit further into the farm after the price has kind of found its, target. I look at something like Excalibur, and it really took 2 to 3 weeks, and we're starting to see more of a stable price. And I think that's where we can do something like that. We feel more comfortable setting the price. And I think it's pretty easy to manipulate that, plus or minus 50% to a certain degree using the treasury and using some of the X-Rays tokens we have. But to your point, having to do that and manipulate a price or change a price 1,000%, that's a little bit harder.
Right. A simple function that calculated the USD value to a set amount for your token would be sufficient if you wanted to. On the price, so it would be floating, and it would, as your token goes up, the amount of tokens necessary to mint would go down, right? It just calculates the same USD value. That would be my one recommendation for that problem. But dude, you guys have done a great job, honestly. The hardest part is going to be education. I always say this to people, like, especially when they have good protocols and tokenomics, like, you have to explain this shit to people in a way that they can grasp it. And I don't think it's as complicated as you think. It's pretty simple. We are having a farm, high emissions. Emissions are going to be high. APRs are going to be high. We don't recommend, aping your life savings in the beginning. Recommend farming it out.
Don't mortgage your house. That's sake, man.
Tom Sheet just posted. So if you guys go to the AMA chat, this is a graphic we made, and take a quick look at it and let me know if it makes sense. Generally, we're kind of banking that being like the thing that helps it make sense for people.
It does. Let me explain. It does make sense from a technical standpoint. Okay, everything is there, but it's not digestible for somebody. It's not that even that it's too much. It's just that it doesn't, at a glance, explain things in a way people can understand. I think if you had on your landing page a really nice graphic that just explained really simply, like farm, you farm with these token pairs and you will earn X-rays, and then you choose to mint an NFT and it earns you 1% per day. And you just make it with nice graphics, clean it up, earn 1% per day, compound into here for a star NFT, and then just separate. So you have this nebula line, because right here it doesn't explain that this is like a set on the left side, and it doesn't explain that it's a set on the right side. I don't know what the set, when you say the sun set or whatever, it doesn't. I don't know what that is, or the sun collection. It is because it doesn't mention it here.
Yeah, so we're going to be redoing parts of the landing page over the weekend to break it up into bite-sized portions that it's like we need to know the technical side because we're running it, but average person needs to understand how it works for them.
Yeah, you gotta switch your viewpoint from being inside to being outside, and
yep. And then we've also got a good video guy that's gonna take the graphics that are posted there and then turn it into a voiceover video to explain each component. So people will have an opportunity, visual people that want to read or have a look at the visuals, they can do that. Audio learners that want to hear can do that. We're trying to make it as accessible to people's learning styles as possible.
Yeah. Of course, it's a challenge, man. Trust me, it's a huge challenge to put these technical protocols in a way that people can really grasp it. And what I would recommend, I see really quick. I have a vision. Okay, I'm going to share this with you really quick. You put this into a way where you're not gamifying it really, but kinda. And you have when you go to the mint page, it have it be like choose your path, you know, and then they can go the X-ray route or the ray route to mint nebulas or mint supernovas, and then it takes them to a new page for each one, and it's kind of, you know what I mean. You kind of give each one a theme and like it's a team or some shit. But that would be really cool, and it gives people a way to understand, like, okay, this way I'm using X-rays, and this way I'm using rays, and it just separates it really clearly for them, and it kind of gamifies it, and it makes it fun for them. I think it would be an interesting way to help people understand. You know, people need shit like that.
Totally.
Cool, man. But yeah, love it. I do like I'm saying. I just think education is different for everybody. Everybody learns differently. I'm just sharing something that I think may help. It could help, maybe, you know. And there's anything will help the users. Like this graphic right here will help explain for most people who break it down, you know. But like I said, when it comes to the people who are going to come ape and the people who are going to actually pump this and give you the market cap that you desire and help it sustain, you got to hit those other people, you know. So that's why we're having this discussion, obviously.
I have a great tip for that as well. It's really for some people in here as well that I know, and it's read the fucking docs. You know?
Thank you, Tamchi.
Shout out to Rick.
Yeah, well, the docs are for the geeks that want to geek out, and it's got all the detail in there. But we need to have a simplified way for those that don't want to delve into all the technical components of what does this mean to me and how do I use it.
Yes, on the landing page will help so much, because a lot of people, that's all they need. Pretty landing page explaining the protocol specifics and very clearly how they can make money, you know, and that's all they give a shit about. Explain there's some deflationary mechanisms and what the different functions that are baked in, and then give them the education on how to profit, and that's it. And it should be, it's all you need on that landing page. You guys got great artists. You got good designers for your site. I think you guys are in a good spot here.
Sweet.
Very good. Let me see. Price of initial NFT is 10,000 Ray tokens. Why don't you?
Yeah, so our whitelist will actually have first access and kind of early access to our Nebula line, so they can get it at a discounted price. So we're trying to hook up at least the people that are really helpful and beneficial for us at the beginning. So we do have a Discord invite competition ongoing. It's 5 invites, and you are in a whitelist spot right now. So fairly easy to qualify.
The cool thing is you can just claim your rewards from your NFT and then just compound it into the farms, because the farms will already be out.
Yep.
There's lots of ways to play it.
Hopefully, if you get more people doing that, you might have a nice little sustainable yield loop happening if people play the game theory right. And that's another thing you want to educate people on, is just compound. And then if you can get a little zapper button that just automatically zaps their NFT rewards into the LP and stakes it like a two-step transaction process like Phantasm does with their claim, you guys will have a really, really interesting thing happening here. I think you should definitely try to do that by the time you launch. I recommend it. With zero fees, zero claim taxes, remove all that shit as long as they compound.
Yeah, I like that idea. Make it easy for people.
No fees on raise whatsoever.
Oh.
The only thing that's going to have any fees is going to be X-ray. And that's because it's dealing with LP, and we need to be cautious with that.
Add a claim tax. And then no claim tax if they hit the zapper compound button and keep it in the ecosystem. Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, that's like super interesting. Like a Ascent that launched, right? So they have like these harvest locks and like harvest fees and deposit fees and like claim fees. Just like a little bit here, a little bit there, making sure people can like claim and dump. It's pretty nice, honestly.
Obviously, you don't have to do anything. I just like to share little ideas.
I personally hate taxes, and I think
I do too.
So like when I look at Playmates, so like Playmates launched, and it was like, oh well, that's really cool. I can earn 5% a day, but I'm going to get taxed 40 or 50% of that down. It's like
They're ridiculous with that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like a 10% claim tax. Okay, not anything crazy, just on the claim. So
that's how we would do it.
And what it would allow you to do is they could bypass that tax if they hit the compound button, and it just encourages people to farm, and then people could technically bypass the tax and just compound into the farm and then withdraw their withdraw their LP, but then you hit them with the withdrawal tax on the LP. Bang! I'm just kidding. Just kidding. This is good, man.
Or we can do it peak and like make it versatile. Like the one moment you don't have a tax, and the other moment you have a tax. Ooh, make it spicy,
God. That was bad. They paused trading and added taxes on everything. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have some fun with it, particularly with the wormhole potential. Zapping tokens from one side to the other in the future.
Yeah,
like that could change the dynamics of it.
Bullish. I think it's very bullish. Promotion and education. It's your next challenge.
Making a wolf and sheep game implementation where you can have wormholes and they slurp up NFTs of other people. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know.
I'm kidding.
The black hole game.
Maybe.
Exploding star.
Black hole. Everybody loses.
All right. Well, thank you to the team from Radiant. We are bullish. That is my outlook. Quick analysis on how to play this really quick, guys. The farms most likely will be high APR, high emissions for the first, 7-14 days?
Yeah, it's all relative to how much is in, right?
Of course, yeah. Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. It's going to be a scaling APR, but it should start pretty high. Yeah. Okay, so expect normal farm token type of chart, but scale into the farms, get exposure slowly, and try to catch bottoms. If you do that and farm through and compound, when it comes time for those NFTs to hit, you'll be ready to go. And I think that getting some of these and compounding into the system is going to be profitable. And as long as they keep up with team building, marketing, community building, all the stuff that comes with it, that this could do really well. The mechanisms they have in place are extremely bullish. They've done a very good job of covering a lot of the dilution issues that we see with these protocols. I'm interested to see how it plays out. Really, I am. So I will be partaking in this, and we will be helping to hold the floor. Hopefully, we can get a strong base of TulipDAO guys to help support the protocol, and we can see this be a very successful, long-term passive income play. Great. Good luck, guys. This is the TulipDAO, and I'm trading tulips. We do, services for new protocols on any chain. We provide KYCs, we provide AMAs, and now we are providing entry-level audits for people. So come to us for things. We are an investors community by investors for investors, and we provide services for investors as well as protocols. So get involved. Thank you.